So weird.
Late for what?
Just in general with the podcast.
The time, the clock time, or the date calendar time?
Calendar.
Oh, okay.
Well, a little bit late today, too.
Yeah, I
Considering
know.
how much I've got to do when we get done here. You know, I got to cook your food.
Well, that's why I tried to get you
Because
off
you
of
won't
your
do
damn game.
Because you won't do it.
Well, I'll do it. You want me to make my dinner? I'll make my dinner.
You won't do it right.
Well, I won't make stew, if that's what you mean.
No, you won't make and
I'll prep the
stew
potatoes.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to peel the potatoes and the carrots.
Carrots? I did not bargain for peeling carrots as well as potatoes.
The carrots are a straight line, man. If you can peel potatoes,
I peel potatoes with a paring knife.
All right, I'll use a peeler for the carrots.
Circle. I don't like peelers. I like a paring knife. I was raised in a military family. We use a goddamn paring knife to peel potatoes.
Like a heathen.
And you know what Daddy did with carrots? He chopped them up into little discs and threw them in. There was no...
Oh, I won't. I'll wash them and chuck them in. I just thought you wanted them peeled.
I don't need them peeled.
Oh, well, then they're going in.
They're going to boil.
Yeah, I'll wash them. I mean, I'll
you
do that.
got to wash them. Our food is killing us these days.
That's what they say.
E. coli, all manner of shit is getting into our food.
It's getting into our food. Oh my God!
It's the pickers.
It's going to kill us. And then, no, they're going to send our pickers away. Oh well, that's you know what? That's podcast material. We shouldn't even be talking about it. You know what I think?
Well, it's running now, baby.
You know what I think? I think I should just
push the button,
hitting the button.
Oh wait, do you know your stats?
You know what? Stats?
Well, I mean
my spiel.
Yes.
My spiel.
Do you remember it? It's been so long.
I don't know. We're just going to see.
All right.
Let's see what happens.
That's what we've been living on.
All right. Say the magic words.
Push the button, G.
Greetings. This is the Long in the Boot podcast, the podcast coming to you from the heel of the boot of Southwest Louisiana. I am your host, G Long. Sitting across the way is my lovely partner, Deb.
Hi, y'all.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good to see you.
It is good to see you. I missed you.
Well, you know.
I know you left me.
I did.
All right.
I did.
Do your thing.
But I learned the error of my ways. And
came back to me?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Hey, if you'd like to reach out to the Long in the Boot podcast, and we encourage you to do so. I promise I won't belittle you much. And you just need
depends on what you say.
Well, that's true.
Don't give
337-502-9011 is the number to call, and you can leave a message there as well. If you'd like to email the folks here at the Long in the Boot podcast, all you got to do is email longintheboot@gmail.com.
Email Bella.
Yeah, but you can send Bella an email.
Yeah, not Otto. He's crotchety.
Yeah, Otto, he sucks. he hates the internet.
He's a cranky.
Bella would love it.
She would enjoy it.
She would truly love an email.
Yes.
And of course, if you want to catch up past episodes of the podcast, then all you got to do is go to, longintheboot.com.
Trying to make it concise, are you?
I've been trying to make that a thing for years. It just won't catch on.
Use the thrice.
Mm-hmm.
W thrice.
Dub thrice?
Yes, thrice dub.
Thrice dub?
Thrice dub.
I like trip dub.
Well, but I want to bring back thrice.
I know.
Conan O'Brien tried to bring back thrice.
It didn't work.
I think
No, it was wasn't it Colbert?
It was before. No, was it Colbert?
I thought it was Colbert that wanted to bring back thrice. Although it sounds like a Conan thing too. Speaking of Conan, hey, I will tell you that
you're gonna advertise his podcast.
Yeah,
too.
I will.
Yeah.
Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend is a great podcast. I've really enjoyed it while I was down, and so, it brings a heck of a smile to my face.
Like we hope we do.
And I understand that it's also on video, but I just prefer to listen to it because, after all, he's kind of freakish looking. And back when he was doing the stand-up or the show, the talk show, the camera was always a distance away.
Late night, yeah. But in
now,
the podcast, it's close up.
It's way too close, man.
All right.
It's freakish.
His show on streaming where he goes
where he
travels.
Yes.
They were amazing.
They were
wonderful.
And he brings the same sense. He brings the same sense of humor to every interview.
Well, and humanity. He's a good guy. I think he has the moral imperative to do right.
Yeah.
Even when he's insulting.
Oh no. He seems to be like
genuine.
Yeah. Like
go.
I don't think
All
we're getting anything fake from.
No. And
he truly wants to. He truly wants to perform.
Yes, he does.
He has to be.
He's an intelligent man.
He is. You know what? He's America's class clown.
All right.
There we go.
I might
America's
give Conan
class clown.
All right.
Conan.
Oh, it was David Letterman was the other one I was thinking of that maybe before Conan was trying to bring back Thrice.
That doesn't sound like a Dave.
I've had too many years of all that.
Yeah.
Too many late night years.
Maybe so.
Go all the way back to Johnny. I mean, we grew up with Johnny Carson. Yeah.
Johnny Carson.
Okay. This is why we are who we are.
Yeah, but we were children then.
Well, I know, but that was our formative year.
We weren't even supposed to be up to see Johnny Carson.
Oh, Daddy wasn't telling me to go to bed.
Well, my mom was.
Okay.
All right, so we're a little bit late. We're a week off again, and that's because of sad times. And I just
first I had sick times.
Yeah,
and then we had sad times.
My mom, my dear mom, passed away. Love you, Linda, and. So I was gone for a little while, and when I got back, I didn't want to do the podcast because I had a sad, and still do somewhat, but
it's never going to go away.
I know.
Daddy passed in 1999. All of you out there who continue, because we all lose people and loved ones.
Just love your families, give your moms hugs,
and your dads,
and your children and your dads,
because your dads,
and just know
men need that.
Yeah, because often we just eat our. The emotion.
Exactly. I will always defend the males in society, not the rapist and that kind of thing, but fathers who are taught not to share their emotions or not to show that. I feel for that because. But
anyway, so I went to Missouri and got to see family that I had not seen for a long time. A lot of them.
Actually,
it was I
think it was a bonding trip. Too.
It was a very bonding trip. It was also what I thought was really nice was hearing people talk about my mom and talking about things that I kind of knew, but to hear other people kind of confirm it really made it special.
Yeah, because our memories can be tricky sometimes.
Yeah, they can.
And she had to stay, so I didn't go.
Yeah,
but
go.
Fortunately,
but my son went with me, and that was extremely helpful.
Told you.
And
say it, Deb.
Deb was right.
I knew I was right. And your son volunteered. I did not ask him. I did not.
I can't do any more podcasts.
Okay.
I have to admit that it's too painful. I just can't.
Well, then I can go on because I haven't had family.
Anyway, thank you to Dakota. Thank you to my Uncle Paul, who probably will never hear this.
Yeah, and your sister.
And thank you to my sister Deanna, who's
had to take the bulk of the work. She
took the bulk of the work after everything happened, and I love my sister dearly, and love you, Deanna, and gonna miss my mom. Gonna miss my weekly conversations with my mom. Yes. And what more can you say? I had a good mom who performed above and beyond.
Yes, she did. She did what my dad
took on
did,
the role
which was
of
both parents,
and did a really outstanding job.
Well, because there you
go.
Grief and loss is universal and yet intensely personal. So it will just continue.
Yep.
Yeah. And to all of you out there who are dealing with those things.
And a lot of you said kind words and sentiments. And if you're listening, thank you very much. And if you're not listening and you did, thank you very much. And if you're not listening and you said absolutely nothing, well, I'm just going about your day.
Then just do what you do. There you go. All right. So now we're going to move past that because life goes on.
Because this is a professional podcast.
We've missed each other and we've come back to our time together, and this is our date.
Yes.
And we have been off our date time.
We've been off our date time.
So
here we are.
Glad you're back, G.
Thank you.
I missed you.
I missed you too.
Yes. I was losing weight.
Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people have not lost weight.
No,
not since Thursday.
No, Thursday kind of picked it all back up, I think.
I think the key on Thursday, and I'm just going to pass this little tip on to everybody.
Key lime pie?
fiber.
Oh, yes. Take your
when
fiber.
you go to bed Thursday night of Thanksgiving,
Take your fiber.
take your fiber.
Oh, and take your acidophilus daily.
Oh, yeah. Well,
You need a
of course.
probiotic.
You do.
Just daily.
Yes.
I've been on antibiotics so many times now.
Your plumbing needs service.
Absolutely. All right. There's
so,
our advice.
So I was at a loss of what to talk about, but
I
swooping in from on the rescue for the save was Deb.
Yeah, I'm the non-traditional one. So I said,
D-Long.
let's do some non-traditional. We've done non-traditional before. We've done hobos and
Well, Thanksgiving was non-traditional.
Thanksgiving
Chicken marsala.
our holiday meals are almost always non-traditional. Occasionally we'll get a wild hair.
And the reason is because a D-Long does not like turkey.
No, I don't care for turkey.
So there you go.
Not a stuffing fan. Don't like sweet potato pie. Don't like pumpkin pie. I'm not a pumpkin spice girl. None of those things.
Thank God.
Well, it's just who I am. So I go with it. And
spice.
I live my life the way I want to.
If I need pumpkin spice, I will mix the 5 spices together and make pumpkin spice.
Well, isn't that Chinese? That's five.
No,
that's
the different spices. But pumpkin spice is just the usuals. You know,
Nutmeg,
it's like
allspice,
yes, nutmeg,
cinnamon,
clove.
Yes.
Yeah. Whoop-de-doo.
Okay.
Whatever.
But I love a baked sweet
now,
potato.
don't even try to take away my pumpkin spice toilet paper though, because that. I mean,
what the hell is wrong with you? You remember when toilet paper used to have colors?
I do.
Pink and blue
scent.
and smells and yeah.
Yeah.
How did we get away from all that poison?
Rectal cancer.
Yeah, but they just put it in our food now. Yeah.
Yeah, at least it's not rectal cancer.
Okay.
It's less embarrassing.
So we decided a topic, our core topic. We always have a core topic and then we have like sidebars.
Peripheral.
So we've got some sidebars. Unusual history stories, like just little things that maybe you did or did not know. We pulled out a few of those from the archives. And then,
What was your core story, though?
my core story is, women who won't behave the way society's norms want them to behave.
Hey, I have a story that will go along with that, weirdly enough. I do. That's really wild.
Well, I told you a hint about what I was going to talk about.
Hang on. Let me make sure.
I don't think I could cover this woman in one podcast, actually.
Okay. You go for it, and I'm gonna.
You don't want to do. You want to do our little stories first, and then her, or you want to do her?
You can do her, and then she sets the tone, and then we'll just.
She does set the tone.
We'll wrap it up from there.
Because there are just people, and I'm saying women in particular, because society demands certain standards and certain norms throughout history for men and women and children.
true.
Everybody has to, toe the line of society at the time that they live. But this woman, her name is Virginia Hall, and Virginia Hall is known for for so many things. She was described as a capricious and cantankerous woman. So Virginia Hall was born in Maryland I did have my dates. Now I can't find my dates. What?
Oh no.
Oh, well, don't do that. Oh, sorry. I've got to close my lamprey image because that was disturbing me. So Virginia Hall was born in Baltimore, Maryland. She was an American spy who gained recognition in for her work in World War II, but she was not recognized in that time period.
She lived before color, by the way.
She did. She did live before color. She was a remarkable and a woman who just did not give up. I mean, once she set her mind to something, during college, she became fluent in French, German, Italian, and Russian. She graduated and applied for the for the U.S. Foreign Service, but because she was a woman, she didn't make the cut.
No, of course not.
She did not give up, though.
Women can't do that stuff.
Yeah, well, Virginia Hall.
Isn't it weird that men thought that women couldn't do?
Considering that they had been raising all of the men in history.
How many women can control a man just by virtue of the fact that they have breasts?
That she's a woman.
I mean, honestly.
I have said it always that women have the power if they just recognize you're the one raising the men.
That's right.
So if you want better men who recognize that women are equal in most respects, I mean, if we want to just talk physical things, okay. And yes, women can be weaker than men, but even today we've seen Oh, well, you know what? I can't even go there anymore because whole trans thing is taking on a whole different meaning. So just wrap that shit up. I'm done. Anyway, she wasn't discouraged, and instead she traveled off to Europe and began working as a clerk at U.S. diplomatic institutions. Well, during that time, and I can't find more detail on this because I'd like to know, she accidentally shot herself in a hunting accident in the left leg. It required amputation, and in the, the late 1930s here, she gets a wooden leg, a replacement.
Oh.
And this woman must have been great. She named her leg Cuthbert.
Cuthbert. So her leg was English.
Yes, he was very English. So shortly after her recovery, she applies to the U.S. Foreign Service again. This time she was rejected again, not because of her womanness and her vagina, but because now she has a disability that's more pronounced than having a vagina, which apparently is a disability. Anyway, okay.
Which one's the worst disability? I'm curious.
Well, Cuthbert didn't slow her down.
Depends on the time, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess it does. Now, we're telling generations it matters.
The question then becomes, Cuthbert. Why Cuthbert?
Cuthbert.
Well,
yeah, I think it was a play on the cut part. Maybe. I don't know. She did have a wild sense of humor. In 1939, of course, Germany invades the neighbor Poland from the north, south, and west, starting World War II. At the beginning, she contributed to the war effort by driving an ambulance for the French army.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're trying to say that Germany invading Poland started World War II? I believe, allegedly.
Allegedly. Well, if you want to throw an allegedly in there, I'm saying history proves out that it did not allegedly occur.
I mean, other countries declared war on Germany.
So here she is, an ambulance driver with her prosthetic leg.
Left or right, did it say?
Her left leg.
So clutch. So she must have used her wooden leg to
this woman could do anything. I mean,
true.
She's
good point.
like, I don't know. Anyway, in her off time, when she's not driving an ambulance,
she's not busy
in the middle of a war. She was speaking passionately about Hitler's evils to all of her friends. Meanwhile, a friend of hers, Vera Atkins, sometimes known as the James Bond inspiration for Miss Moneypenny, she was a British spy. She overheard one of Virginia's tirades, recruited her for a secret organization that was being put together by Winston Churchill, the SOE, the Special Operations.
Wait, who is this Winston Churchill you speak?
Yes. All right.
For you folks that don't know, he was in charge of England during World War II.
I think our people knew that.
Well, most of our people will know that, but because in case we have somebody who didn't like history in high school and or had a bad history teacher.
Well, if they didn't like history, they're not listening to us.
Good point.
I mean, part of our core is always a history story.
Gosh, I hope so.
The then, the now, when, in the future. All right, so she gets recruited for the SOE, the Special Operations, which will henceforth be known as the SOE, and she becomes a spy, right? She demonstrated serious proficiency at living in disguise, using fake identities. She recruited loyal resistance spies. She uncovered information about German movements. She organized drop zones. She facilitated jailbreaks. According to one report, she and her team killed 150 Nazis, captured several hundred more, derailed numerous German freight trains, detonated several bridges. At one point, her sabotage work became such an inconvenience for the Nazis.
Inconvenience.
We've got a minor inconvenience.
150 Nazis dead.
We've got this. They called her the limping lady. She was known to the Germans at the time as the most dangerous.
So she still couldn't get caught? That's amazing.
No, even with the damn limp. She couldn't disguise that.
Right?
Yes. I'm just like, I'm enthralled by Virginia Hall here. So the Nazis called her their most dangerous of Allied spies.
How did she not?
By the Gestapo.
Why wasn't she suspected?
I don't know.
The moment they had the term the limping lady,
yes,
every one-legged woman in Germany should have been suspect.
It's everyone. Here, can I find it what it says in German? Yes, she was la dame qui boite, as in French. Yes. La dame qui boite. The lady with the limp.
The lady with the limp.
Qui boite is limp. Anyway, that was what she was known as in French. So they never did catch her. After the war, she comes home. She was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, the second highest military decoration in the United States Army, but her work was not done. She continued to work for the Office of Strategic Services here in the U.S. Later, she went on to be, and then later for its successor, the CIA. Like, she was actually cited as one of the people to help the founding of the Central Intelligence Agency. She only left the CIA at the age of 60 when they forced her to retire because,
her.
at 60,
of course they did.
Yeah, you can't continue on at 60. You have to go. So after 15 years at the CIA, she retired in 1966. What year did I tell you she was born in? She was born in 19... No, can I get that? Key points of her life? Anywhere? Internet?
Hello.
Google's 19...
I'll find it. She was born in 1906 and died in 1982.
82, exactly.
76 years old.
Yes. So 76 in Rockville, Maryland. So she's buried there nearby.
She went to a lot of colleges, man.
She did go to many colleges. Her family was just like, when she got out of high school, she wanted to travel to Europe and go to college there. She went to Rutgers.
Look, she worked for the CIA when they killed Kennedy. Allegedly. Right. So this is Mallory Archer, man.
I know. That's what I said. Because my next question then was, all right, she's so non-traditional. Clearly,
and you kids, Mallory Archer, just a famous spy. You have to watch the documentary in her life called Archer.
Yes, there you go. And you'll learn about it. Well, because that was me. I said, there's no way. This woman obviously did not want to live a traditional woman life.
Clearly.
Well, she had a husband. This lady had 2 kids. So she did that too.
So she wasn't above, getting down.
No, she obviously lived a full traditional and non-traditional, mostly non-traditional life with her life mate Cuthbert.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I know, she's fascinating. Honestly, I have so many. You can go to the CIA website and
she's got a whole area dedicated to her.
She have pages dedicated to her. There are links to go read from her diaries. They have her journals that you could actually go read. I told you she would be one that you could investigate and research and do a lot of time on.
Oh, I'm sure. Man, World War II is full of these women, too, that I've never heard of. And then when you start researching this stuff, you find out.
All of a sudden, there were lots of women.
I got a picture of this woman. She looks somewhat Asian, and I'm looking at it, and it says, Susan Ahn Cuddy instructs a sailor. She is shooting a 50 cal anti-aircraft weapon, and he is standing next to it, and she is instructing him.
Right, teaching him.
So I said, well, I got to know more about this lady. So Susan Ann Cuddy, Ahn, A-H-N. For Susan Ahn Cuddy, serving the military as a woman in World War II was personal. In 1937, her father was killed by the Japanese during a visit. He was in Seoul visiting, and the Japanese came through and killed him. And now South Korea for speaking out against Japanese occupation and oppression in Korea. 3 years later, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, and so she and her 2 brothers all joined the military. One was in the Navy and one was in the Army. And then she was in the women's, U.S. Navy, I forget what, Waves at that time.
Oh, the women, yeah.
Because, anyway,
we've talked about them before.
She applied to join the Waves program and was rejected because she was an Asian American.
Not because she...
No, just that's why.
Because they all had vaginas.
Yeah, I know. What about being a woman? Look, we're not going to take you, but it's not because you're a woman. It's because you're Asian.
That's all we have.
That makes it so much better. She applied before Pearl Harbor. After Pearl Harbor, when she applied again, they're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, all right, we need people now, so we'll take you because you need to do the work. So when U.S. and British forces invaded North Africa in November of 1942, German troops took full control of the rest of France, and Klaus Barbie assumed control of the Gestapo at that point. The Butcher of Lyon, as he would become known later, launched a nationwide hunt to find Virginia. He put out want ads, posters, the Nazi codenamed Virginia Artemis. Barbie
I like that name.
Yes, I know. Barbie is reputed to have told his staff, I would give anything to lay my hands on that Canadian bitch, because they thought she was French-Canadian. But by the time Barbie arrived in Lyon, Virginia had vanished. Despite winter snows, her wooden legs, she hiked across the Pyrenees Mountains into Spain. Spain.
Jesus.
She was imprisoned in Spain for 20 days for lacking proper documentation.
Yeah, neutral country.
Yeah, Virginia, though, made it back to London in time for Christmas dinner by her colleagues, and not content to sit around. She wanted to get back out in the field.
Want to get back in the game,
but now,
coach.
of course, she's at the top of the Gestapo's most wanted list, and so they thought it was too dangerous to send her back. And then she went to Madrid for her next assignment in May of 43, where she worked undercover as a reporter for the Chicago Tribune. Her job was to run a network of safe houses. Spain was so far from the front lines, though, and she did not like that. So she got transferred back to London, spent her free time becoming a radio operator.
Sure, why not?
I could just go on and on. Her contributions, she declined to accept certain medals, and she just amazing.
Yeah.
Virginia Hall.
And never heard of her.
Had never heard of her until I came across.
Well, maybe when she was in the CIA, they fixed it so that the rest of her history didn't come out.
But if you go on the CIA,
maybe she was doing undercover work during the
up to
47 to 66, she's in the CIA. That's when it was Cold War got really hot for about 10 years in there.
Yeah.
And so she would have been very helpful, I am sure.
Yeah.
Being able to go across to East Germany.
Well, speaking of the Cold
and we don't know what she did while she
don't.
worked for the CIA because
they give you a general label of ran.
She did this.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Whatever.
Speaking of the Cold War, America had a project to nuke the moon.
We should have.
Well,
I hate
the end of World War II.
Screw the moon. What's it done for us lately?
We were in that nuclear arms race, turned into the space race, and then Soviets got Sputnik off, and we were terrified, of course, at that point. So the top brass in America wanted to show a strength, so the U.S. Air Force began a project called Project Nuke the Moon. The Air Force wanted a mushroom cloud so large it would be visible from Earth as the ultimate display of one-upmanship.
It reminds me of
God, America.
It reminds me of the Tick cartoon when Chairface Chippendale decided he wanted to put his name on the moon.
Yes.
But of course he couldn't fit it. So all it's on the moon. For the rest of the series on the moon, it says Cha.
Cha.
Hey, wait, let me go back to Cuddy here real quick. She's so good with this gun, she ends up becoming a link trainer, instructing aviators in how to use their weapons in air combat. Because you have to lead so much. And so there's things that happen. And because she went to San Diego University and had a physics degree, she was able to explain to people what's happening.
She was able to explain to men how to do something?
Well, I'm sure she had to mansplain it. But
I'm sure she did. Did.
She became the first female gunnery officer in the U.S. Navy, teaching naval aviators how to fire 50 caliber machine guns. She would retire from the Navy as a lieutenant, would go on to work for the U.S. Navy Intelligence, which is their version of the CIA, really. She also worked for the Library of Congress and the NSA. Again, spy. Mm-hmm. She passed away in 2015 at the age of 100.
Wow. Cantankerous, I'll bet she was too. You have to have a certain type of personality when you are a woman going into a field that's dominated by men. You have to be able to deal with a field of women too, because women are difficult to work with if you're going to be the woman in charge. Now, if you have a group of women and there's a man in charge, the dynamic changes. But to be an intelligent woman having to deal with a group of men, especially soldiers, who recognize that they could die at any time, it's going to be a different kind of. So they had a good sense of humor.
Yeah, right.
They put up with some shit, but they also must have been no nonsense, and the men trusted them.
Well, absolutely, and which brings me to one of my favorite women of World War II.
Oh, okay.
Ruby Bradley.
Oh,
Army Colonel Ruby Bradley. She was a nurse. And she entered the Army as a surgical nurse.
Yes, you're allowed at that point.
Yes. She is one of the most decorated women in U.S. military history. She was serving as a hospital administrator in the Philippines when the Japanese attacked.
Oh.
And she was captured. She was eventually interned with other prisoners of war at the Santo Tomas internment camp in Manila. While at the camp, she got busy.
Wait,
she began providing medical attention to prisoners, smuggled food to those who needed it, and often gave up her own food so that others didn't. She lost so much weight she was able to smuggle outdated medical equipment and supplies into the camp by hiding them under her clothes without raising suspicion.
Oh, because she had enough room in the clothes to.
Throughout her 37 months in captivity,
wow,
3
that's
years,
a long time.
Bradley did 230 major surgeries and delivered 13 babies. By the time the camp was liberated in February of 45, she had dropped to 84 pounds because she was giving her rations to the children in the camp.
Oh, my God.
The other POWs told Life magazine and the Army officials, said Bradley and the fellow nurses that she led were the angels in fatigues. She also then came back earned her bachelor's degree, and 4 years after the end of the war, she would go and serve in Korea, eventually being promoted to the rank of colonel before retiring in 1963. In her career, she received 34 decorations, including the Bronze Star.
Wow.
I mean, just
yeah,
and she did it all.
Outstanding.
Yeah, and that's pretty impressive.
You know that I just suddenly realized we decided this topic show would be about non-traditional women.
Yeah.
And well, your mother was a non-traditional woman, as my dad was.
Well, she had to be.
Yeah, my dad too. It was a non-traditional man put in a position of having to do jobs that,
Yeah, my mother's mother left, and my mom had to raise 2 brothers and a sister, or help raise, while in high school.
Yeah.
And then got married, and a letter that she wrote about how she was feeling a couple years after I was born, that my sister found as she was going through all of her personal effects, talking about, she'd always wondered what it would be like to be a mother after the trouble of her teen years.
Yeah.
And
of being a forced mother.
And how now she had this beautiful baby boy, yours truly, of course.
Yes, of course.
And God, I wonder what happened to that baby. Anyway, then she talks about being married to her man who is serving the Marines in Vietnam, and it's just, it's a lovely little.
It's a snippet of
moment of time.
Yeah. And you get to see a part of your mother that you never realized.
And,
because she wouldn't share that.
Yeah. I did want to talk about there's a famous picture, you can look it up. It's the woman's name is Lee Miller. Lee Miller was a photojournalist. And there is a picture of her taken in 1945 in a bathtub.
Oh, yeah. The one after the war?
Yes.
That she gets to go into.
She took a bath in Hitler's bathtub.
Yes.
And her muddy combat boots are right there on the rug, and there's dirt all over the rug.
It's an amazing story. I do know about her.
Yeah. The story is amazing, and she talked about the fact that day she needed to take a bath desperately because she and soldiers had been the first to enter the liberated camp of Dachau.
Oh, God. That would have been horrific.
And so after taking pictures all day long, she just had to have a bath. And she said later that she didn't.
Good woman.
She didn't think about it. She said, I just saw a bathtub.
Yeah, it didn't matter that it was Adolf Hitler.
And they said, hey, this is Adolf's bath. And so somebody sent a picture of Adolf Hitler in the back on the edge of the bathtub,
Yeah.
But she said that she felt like it was in a small measure kind of this is the dirt of what you caused on your rug.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to take a bath in your bathtub.
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to her, of course, is he was dead in Berlin. Same day, actually, I think.
It didn't matter.
And she's really interesting, but I think it's really funny that she climbed into the bathtub. And I love how it says this, at Hitler's residence, before climbing into the tub, she set up her camera. Her lover at the time, I love it, her lover. Excuse me.
Does it say if it was a man or a woman?
Turns out that it was a man.
Oh, okay.
This was before modern times.
Well, I was wondering how outside of the norms.
It was her gentleman lover.
Oh, her gentleman lover.
Life photographer, David Shearman. So it was another photographer.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they had worked together.
So they had lots of naked pictures of each other.
Well, I was going to say they had been together in some serious situations.
Yeah, the same day Hitler and his brand new bride, blushing bride, Eva Braun,
who didn't get to take a bath that day.
Who did not get much of a honeymoon.
No.
And probably didn't even get a bath.
No.
They took their lives that day. But what a stark contrast for a day for a person.
Yeah. to start out at
because you look at that bath.
Dachau was horrific. It was Auschwitz and Dachau were both just
well. And I was looking at the picture itself. It's just a standard bathtub, badly tiled. I think because it's just it's the only kind of tile they probably had back then.
Time frame, dude.
Yeah, maybe so. But it had a shower massager though. I noticed a sprayer that it has a sprayer.
They didn't take a picture of that now, did they? Okay.
But she looks so, I don't know, just, it's not a picture where somebody's luxuriating in the bath. It's like she's washing off Dachau.
Yeah, getting rid of the scum.
Which must have been horrific.
Oh, the smell would never.
You'd never be able to get rid of it, right?
Yeah. I had another one too, and actually this one came up on the moment in history or a day in history that comes up on my thread, and I read them from time to time. And this one was actually Mary Walker, who earned a medical degree in 1855. Very few women were doctors at that time, but when you see the picture, Mary Walker looks like Marty Walker. She would wear men's clothes. She dressed as a man. She was an abolitionist. She volunteered for service as a surgeon in the Union Army during the Civil War, but of course was turned down because, say it again, she had a vagina.
A vagina.
Yes. So they said, well, we'll let you be a nurse. She's like, I'm a doctor. So she refused that.
Of course.
Then she volunteered her services as a spy, once again, turned down. So she began just treating the wounded and the sick as a volunteer civilian until finally the Army just went like, okay, we're going to hire you. So they contracted her as a surgeon. First woman ever employed by the U.S. Army in that role. In 1864, Dr. Walker was captured while behind Confederate lines. She was a prisoner of war for 4 months, finally released in a prisoner exchange. And for her services, Mary Walker was awarded the Medal of Honor, only woman in American history to receive that honor. Or that award. Suffragette, prohibitionist, war hero, pioneering physician, but none of that topped her preference for wearing men's clothing. That's the thing that everybody was so focused on. She was arrested on a number of occasions for wearing men's clothing. When she was asked why she would wear men's clothing, she said, I don't wear men's clothes. I wear my clothes. So, F you all.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Mary Walker. Women bucking traditional roles and living the life that they want to live.
Well, continuing on with Lee Miller for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
There was something she said, which I really I thought that was interesting. They got the news. She goes, well.
Oh, that Hitler was dead. Yeah.
And she goes, well, all right. He's dead. He's never really been alive for me until today. She said the home made him seem less fabulous and therefore more terrible, along with the little evidence of him having some almost human habits. She says it was like an ape who embarrasses and humbles you with his gestures. Just that couldn't have been human. And she talks about she's modestly hunched over. She's scrubbing her upper back with the washcloth. She looks tired. That's what I thought. That morning, she had photographed piles of bodies in trucks and cars, which had escaped incineration because they had run out of fuel. That was all. Prisoners were there. Only a third of her negatives from that day, though, survived because when she got back to the Vogue, and this was back when Vogue did actual journalism. Not just
Vogue things. Yes.
When she got back to Vogue offices, she began cutting up a lot of the negatives so that no one would ever see them. She goes, I don't want anyone to have to see what I saw today. But I am leaving enough to make sure there's no doubt about what happened.
That it actually happened. And here you are in 2024, and people still deny the Holocaust.
So then she became a drinker. She put all of her pictures away in an attic, and her son found them after her death.
After she died.
He said, I had known my mom as a useless drunk, a hysterical kind of person who even catching a train was a major episode. I could not believe she was the same person who had taken these pictures. Miller's final act brought a kind of redemption. This is really kind of interesting. She began to cook. That was the thing that helped her get through it.
Clearly, she needed something to help her. Yeah,
she won cooking prizes. She became known as a chef in her own right, without being a chef. But I thought it was really interesting. But all these pictures and everything, nobody knew. they knew her as this woman who cooked, and of course as being a drunk.
So she hid that. She hid that time in her life. You know, I think that the difference between her and the other women we talked about were they didn't quit.
And
so they just kept on and were persevering.
I thought what was interesting, she apparently during dinner parties, she would put this gigantic rotating platter.
A Lazy Susan?
Big, though, for the guests, and spin it, and so they could all try different dishes.
Lazy Susan isn't one size.
That is the one thing she took from Berchtesgaden. It was Hitler's.
That was his.
And she would serve people
on it.
Yes.
Well, obviously, though, that just emotionally was too much for her. She buried it, but she didn't do a good enough job.
And and then she said, you know what's funny is his initials were on 4 spots on the platter,
and nobody ever
even noticed. And she goes, and that's as it should be.
Yeah, he shouldn't be famous.
And I thought that was really something.
Oh, interesting.
But the picture is melancholy as can be. It's really, it's somebody whose life has completely been altered, I'm sure.
Yeah.
War is bad enough, but then to see that would be.
Yeah, and have to deal with it, especially when you have the sensibility of an artist.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, and that's probably what differentiates her between the two women, Virginia Hall and your Cuddy woman.
Yes.
That those women, I think emotionally they weren't maybe, I don't want to say weak, but as sensitive.
Yeah.
And they just didn't quit. Every time something got them, they just moved on to something else.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And she moved on to something else, but she didn't do it correctly, I guess. Alcohol's not the way to bury it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, there we go. So
all right, non-traditional women
doing
amazing things that we should know.
World War II stuff.
We should know them more than we know Adolf Hitler.
And I want to kind of, I guess, get it wrapped up. But I do have a history story of an incident that a lot of people don't know. If I can find the stupid thing again, and it's about the.
Well, if you can't, I have my 2 little stories.
Do you have the onion story?
Oh, I did not. I do have it, but I wasn't going to do it.
It's interesting. What else you got?
Well, I have the 2 weird conditions. The one who ate too many lampreys, and then the glass.
That's a weird one.
That is weird.
I guess you have to explain it now.
Well, now I have to say something.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the first one was, if the audience knows what a lamprey is, it's a fish with a sucking mouth, a circular sucking mouth.
They're a
horrible looking thing. Just horrible looking.
Yes.
Well, Henry I loved lampreys. He was a king in 1100 until his untimely demise in 1135. He loved to eat these little jawless eel-like fish, and their fossils go all the way back to the dinosaurs. I mean, they don't need to change. They are prehistoric. They don't need to change.
They do.
And they took out Henry I because he ate so many lampreys that he eventually died after a night of voracious feasting.
Ew.
They think that the toxins from the lampreys eventually caused.
Well, you know what they say, poison's in the dose.
Yeah.
Poison's in the dose.
Painful. It was a painful death, they said. So that
would have been awful.
That was one strange
I
don't know if his is a condition, because I don't know that there are people still overeating lampreys today.
God, I hope not.
Apparently in 1518 in Strasbourg, they had a plague. It was called the dancing plague. People, up to 400 people would spontaneously dance day and night until they collapsed. Some people even died from exhaustion.
Was this the St. Vitus dance?
It doesn't say what kind of dance. It just says that this fever would grip these people every winter in the 15th century or 16th century in France.
Well, clearly that's
dancing plague brought hundreds of people, and they danced until they couldn't even stand anymore. Historians have debated the reason, but they seem to think that it was caused by a stress-induced mass hysteria. I say if it was wintertime, they probably just needed to get warm.
Or a stored grain that had.
Ergot poisoning was one of the possibilities. Today we just call that what do they call it when
a good time?
People break out into dance like a choreograph.
A rave.
No, they set it up now. And
the mob.
The mob thing. Yeah.
I forget what they call them.
Well, Strasbourg thought it was a plague. They thought it was
the devil.
That it was not okay. That was
Flash mob.
A flash mob. There you go. Thank you. What would cause people to literally dance the skin off their feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
My last one was that odd one about medieval King Charles VI. He had a condition they called glass delusion.
That's weird.
It's not an affliction that we know of today, but it was not uncommon in Europe between the 15th through the 17th centuries. Charles believed that he was made of glass and that he could...
Like Samuel L. Jackson. Remember? Shattered?
Shattered.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, he had a fear of shattering. In fact, he was so fearful of that, he would put iron rods in his clothes to protect himself in case he fell. Or if somebody touched him. One occasion said that he wrapped himself in blankets to prevent his buttocks from cracking.
Okay.
King Charles VI. There you go.
The 6th?
Yes.
Of England?
French.
French. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Well, that explains it. It's the damn French.
They'll get theirs.
Always with the bloody French.
They'll get theirs.
Okay, those are all my little odd stories. I know they weren't women doing non-traditional things, but they were men being weird.
Well, I got one last thing I think we'll wrap it up with.
We got no modern stories.
Well, in a way, it connects to a modern story, but it's also an old story.
Okay.
And it has to do with recently all the stories that we're seeing with women who apparently have lost all manner of sanity because Donald Trump won the election.
Oh, yes, the people who are scared.
So we've got a story today was the one about women who are going in and getting themselves sterilized.
I saw that.
Because Donald Trump got elected.
Well, and they're just they're not going to have sex. They're not going to have babies. The
right.
Asian trend, what is it?
I forget, something B.
Something B.
And they're giving the Koreans the credit for all of this.
Yes, yes.
And we have, and there's also,
protest.
Yeah, it's their protest. So they're going to make it so they can never have children.
Well, Donald's going to have to let the Mexicans stay then.
Well, first of all, I don't think they understand the mindset of a businessman. A woman who comes to them and says, I've had myself sterilized so I can never have your children, doesn't make you less desirable. In fact,
no, that just means that you can have sex and not create
exactly.
anything. That what comes out is the problem.
What you need to say is, I'm going to have your baby, and they'll run away. Anyway, I just thought that was really weird, but they give for some reason, the Koreans are
Why don't they run away from Elon? Because they keep having his babies, and it's weird. It's really, really weird. He's strange.
He's a strange fellow.
Okay.
Shows you too much what he can do. So anyway, it reminds me of I heard a podcast where the woman was worried that Elon Musk was going to, and I'm quoting here, her quote, was going to buy all the media.
Yes. Elon's going to buy all the media.
He's going to buy all the media.
And once he has media, what is he going to do with media?
I'm assuming he'll ration the media.
He'll charge us for media. Well, wait, but he's given us a satellite so we can all have media. What is Starlink? I mean, well, he's killing us with his cars.
Well, as more of those satellites follow the sky, I think it'd be pretty funny.
Well, maybe that's I don't know.
Anyway, back to women. Back to women.
Non-traditional women doing whatever the hell they want.
Not pasty-faced rich men.
Just
women.
bucking the odds. Not getting lip injections, but it's saying, damn it all. I'm going to do what I want.
The Greeks were first with this, by the way.
With women saying in protest.
We're
clamping shut.
I'm going to school y'all just a little bit here before we go out. And it's about a play called The Lysistrata.
I'm sorry, listeners.
No, it's...
Oh, I know that play.
The Lysistrata.
Yes.
Which actually the word Lysistrata means army disbander.
Yes.
That's the name. It's an ancient Greek comedy. First performed, get this, in 411 BC. So they're thinking about this then.
Modern women today got nothing on that.
And it was written by Aristophanes, performed in classic Athens in 411 BC, and it's a comedy, and it's a women's mission to end the Peloponnesian War.
Yes.
And what they decide to do, the women get together, and they decide that they are going to deny sex to all of the men, and that way they can end the war.
It just made all the men gay.
But the Lysistrata persuades the women of the warring cities, all the cities, to withhold sexual privilege from their husbands and lovers. as a means of forcing the men to negotiate peace, which actually turns into a big giant battle between the sexes. The play is noted for being an expose of the sexual relations in a male-dominated society. And so it's Greeks beginning to play with this idea of roles in society.
And women saying, see, we have power. We're going to use our power. But look how successful we've been as women through the centuries getting men to stop war.
True.
Yeah, hadn't worked.
Several women in the play are hedonists in need of firm guidance and direction.
Oh, right? So they're breaking free and having sex anyway?
So Lysistrata says, there are a lot of things about us women that sadden me, considering how men see us as rascals. And Kalanice, who is the hedonist, says, as indeed we are. We are rascals.
We are rascally.
And so, so anyway, in the play, and it's done in the Greek style, but the play it takes on these roles, and the men start to kind of lose it because at one point, for instance, a Spartan herald appears to make an announcement on the stage. He's got this gigantic erection.
Because he can't do anything with it? And, come on. He knows how to take in hand. That's ridiculous. It would never work because everybody understands masturbation.
Well, I suppose that's true.
Wow.
Anyway, I just thought that was really funny.
Really, what it is withdraw all the hugs.
Hugs are
You can't hug yourself. You can masturbate, but you can't hug yourself.
That's true.
You need a cuddle buddy.
A cuddle buddy.
Yes.
Gotta have a cuddle buddy.
So that's what you're withdrawing. That's what you're withholding.
That's why we get dogs. Cuddle buddies.
Cuddle buddies. All those men are off at war. They're intense with the other men. They're not.
We know about those Greek soldiers.
Exactly. So it wasn't going to work, ladies. It wasn't going to work then. It doesn't work now.
Besides,
now you just create an incel and then they go out and serial kill.
Well, you've taken sex away, so now they've got this spear and nothing to do with it. What are they going to go to do?
They're going to go and stab somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. We're not stopping war. I would like it to be a perfect world, and we all get along, and everybody has a moral imperative, and all the sexes are whatever. But clearly, we're not traditional, and everybody doesn't get along.
Now, one of the fun things about the historical background of this time is Athens was really having some major problems during this Peloponnesian War. They were in trouble, and eventually they're going to lose. Sparta will eventually defeat Athens.
Allegedly.
No, it's not alleged.
Yes. Tried to do it to me.
And so anyway, I'm not even going to.
Yeah, you don't even need to go there. So you're trying to take me off on some kind of weird tangent. Shut it down, G.
It's what I do, man.
Okay, well, you said let's do 40 minutes today. That's all I got in me.
I'm done except for the last announcement, which is stories come out. Nick Fuentes, he's one of those guys that's...
Is he related to Daisy Fuentes?
No, Nick Fuentes is one of these super... manly guys, I can't think of the guy who got busted over there in Hungary or whatever it was, Romania. But it's all these guys who got famous on podcasts.
Yeah, by being manly.
Being Ubermen.
Yes, manly.
Well, it turns out he's gay.
Well, so often that happens. If he just
and the thing is, it's people have been saying this for quite a while.
Well, maybe it just took him a while to figure it out. Maybe he didn't realize that he needed that.
And
oh, come on! Are you saying that a man doesn't know? Well, never mind. We're just not going to use any kind of erectile jokes. I'm going to.
He was for a while. Nick Fuentes was like uber Christian. You know, he's
gone through the gamut.
He's running through all of them. Yeah.
So next he has to. Then he needs to go ahead and do his gay stuff and then go back to God.
And then a while back, people found out that he had streamed gay porn to
Andrew Tate is who you were trying to think of.
Nick Fuentes is well, not anymore, but
all right.
So
I thought Andrew Tate was coming back to America now that Trump is president, or going to be president.
And what's great is he's such a misogynist, and he got caught on a podcast. The woman who was questioning him on the podcast at one point says, "Clearly you've never dated women." He goes, "I haven't." And it's like, oh, well, now we know why.
Yeah. So, you haven't dated women. So really you should just keep your mouth shut about women then, if you don't really know anything about them.
Yeah, clearly.
At least how their parts work, anyway.
Well, what we know is they can't do what a man can do because they have
A vagina. But they have a brain, and
if I
it
only
works.
had a brain.
Oh, my Lord. Okay. Well, we haven't solved any world problems. Maybe we've informed you about some amazing women, and if you were a misogynistic
She
asshole,
could solve so many problems.
maybe we've changed your mind. And
hope
you're
so.
no longer going to be a misogynistic asshole.
Yeah.
And you're going to see women as equals who maybe can't lift the same weight you can lift, but, you know.
I don't know. There's women that can lift more than me
We
right
can
now.
think our way out of a paper bag.
Yeah, yes. Brain is important. But here's the thing. That applies to both.
Yes.
You know.
Well, and that's really it. We're all individuals.
Exactly.
So we all have skills and we all have weaknesses.
You know, Trump
and-
has even appointed a couple women to his cabinet now, like 3 or 4,
Yeah.
even though they have vaginas.
Yes. Well, he knows how to grab them.
Well, he said that.
Yes, he has.
He did say that.
He did say that.
Not allegedly.
It wasn't fake news. It wasn't AI created audio.
It was truth.
But when Elon
Wished I didn't say it, but I said it.
when Elon owns media,
And when he buys
we
media,
won't have to have that kind of thing anymore.
he's going to buy media.
All right. You know what, G?
Yeah, I'm going to go make some stew.
You're going to make us some stew because you're home, and I love you for it, and I'm glad you're home.
What, the stew, those, being home,
yes,
all of those things?
Those 4 days without you, 5 days was torture.
It was.
And
But I was with my son,
yeah,
which felt good, and he was a good companion.
I knew he would be.
Yeah, he's turned out all right despite his father.
It's all his mom.
No question.
Yeah,
And
all mom.
yep.
Because I'm just an amazing woman. And guess what? I have a vagina.
Really?
Yes. And you know
Wait
what?
a
It brings
minute.
me such joy.
Wait a minute.
It's portable and it goes everywhere with
It's
me.
like joy.
There we go.
Take it with you.
I think that has to be the end.
I think.
And hopefully we'll be back in 2 weeks with no issues. You know what? Only normal life.
Well,
issues.
it'll be getting close to Christmas.
It will be getting close to the
So
Christmas.
we'll have that issue.
So we'll have the season.
Right.
The season is the reason.
For taking
Winter.
your joy with you.
For
And
winter.
hopefully it won't freeze.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All right.
I guess that does it.
All right, audience. Go
guess-
out there and do what you do and enjoy it.
Go do that voodoo that you do so well.
Push the button, G.